Joining us on the podcast once again today is a returning champion to this show. Of course, he has accomplished so many firsts this year with his 2025 UCF Knights team, a team that is through to the round of 16 in the NCAA tournament for the first time in program history. Welcome back onto the show. Join me in welcoming him. It's UCF men's tennis head coach Lloyd Bruce-Burgess. Coach, it is always good to see you. Welcome back to the podcast. I should have said first child here this year as well. The year of first continues. How are you and the Knights feeling with the Sweet-16 approaching?
Great. My son was at both matches this weekend actually, and when I walked off the court, I lifted him in the air, and all the people who were watching like cheered and clapped, and then he burst into tears. But yeah, I think he was happy with the win. He just didn't really know it. So we're doing good though.
I like that. No, his Simba moment. Let me ask. I know he's very young. Does it
Mm.
force you to change? You're like, are you conscious of like, oh, like my son's watch? Like, did that thought cross your mind at any point?
Um, Yeah, I mean he's not very aware of what's going on, so not yet, but probably at some point soon. But hopefully, I'm not too bad on the court. At
No,
least
you're
I
not
like
at
I
all.
like to
But
think not. But
I just wonder if that clicks in right away. Like you hear a cry in the crowd, and instinctually you're like, "Oh, is that my cry? Like, is that my son?"
yeah, I did hear him once actually. So but yeah, I hear it, but I try not to
No,
focus in.
that was Branger. That was
Oh
Brun's.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
yeah,
actually
that would
Liam.
make
Who's
sense. It's
yeah,
the oldest guy on the team crying. Yeah,
yeah. No, that wasn't. That's the. I get why you got confused, but
yeah.
obviously that's where I want to start, and I want to credit probably your SID, who does a really good job with your recaps and in recapping your round of 32 victory. Did a really good job of just putting in perspective what you and Kareem have accomplished in your 2 years together. Again, prior to this year, one NCAA second round appearance, no top 10 wins, no indoor championships, no wins over Florida. Now you are through to a round of 16 with your second win over Florida, having reached the national indoors this year as well. Just like, has it set in? Talk me through what this win, what this run means to your program.
Yeah, like last year was really good, and I remember thinking like, "Wow, it's going to be tough to beat last year." Because we went from 60 or so to up to 24 at one point, and obviously won a round for only the second time and beat Florida, blah blah blah. And I thought, yeah, I'm not sure, like, is the team going to be as good? We'll see. And yeah, I mean, one of the big things was making a Sweet 16, which obviously I thought would be really tough to do, but was definitely on the radar of something we'd like to do. Making a national indoors as well. Those two things really stood out. As things I wanted to try and accomplish. When I took over, I definitely didn't expect them to happen in the first 2 years. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a credit to everyone around us. Like, of course, I'm steering the ship and all that stuff, but you obviously need people to buy into what you're preaching and wanting to do. And yeah, it takes staff, players, all that kind of stuff, and they really have. And I was lucky. John left me some good guys and players with potential to work with, and those guys have been incredible for us, and they've helped carry us to the place we're in right now.
Yeah, no, and those guys have provided some of the best drama of this 2025 college tennis season for fans everywhere, and that is why I'm going to start by assessing the round of 32. Little disappointed. Like doubles and three straight set victories. That's not my UCF Knights. That's a disciplined UCF Knights.
Yeah,
Talk me through. Was that? I mean, I don't want to say the best match of the season, but it feels like peaking at the right time. That's what that should look like.
yeah, I was surprised as well. I mean, look, Yassine winning against Cats 3-3 that's a huge bonus. That's obviously an area they've been super strong, and he actually beat Yassine in the fall. So I think that was a big one. Like the other wins, where did we win? Santi won, and we have to remind me who else won.
I know in
Colin won.
yeah,
Colin won. So yeah, I mean, look, the other two definitely not surprised Santi was able to get his win in straights, and Paul as well. Like Paul he'd been struggling a bit at the start of the season, playing higher in the lineup, but he's starting to find his form now again, and he did really well last year. So not super surprising wins from Paul or Santi. I wouldn't say they're matches I felt we could win. But yeah, for Yassine to win as comfortably as he did, that really helped us just get through quickly.
yeah, no, it's been such an impressive season for this group, and obviously coming into the year, I know I've talked about this with you before, but tennis recruiting said it was the number 2 recruiting class you were
I
bringing
think it was
in.
three. I think the women were
Finally,
two,
3.
but
Okay, I
yeah,
see. Thank you for the correction. I'm trying to give him credit where it's not
yeah,
due. 3,
yeah,
not 2. Nowhere near 2. Very
yeah,
clearly 3. And yet, it's been the returners who it feels like, not to discredit Nico or some of the other
yeah.
freshmen who have all played their moments, but these returners all taking a step forward. Could you see seedlings of it in the fall? Like, when did you start to feel, oh, maybe we can do it as soon as now?
Um, it- Honestly, it started from the fall of last year. I did think there was like potential with a lot of these guys, and I mean, I didn't know it would come as quickly as it did for them. And it obviously took like a big cultural thing as well for them to buy into what we're preaching. Yeah, I mean, I thought they could do it. I didn't know it, like I said, it would come this quick. But yeah, I mean, it started from the moment we started working together, really, and seeing like few of these guys really take initiative and want to change. Mehdi Benchakrun is a great example, like the way he changed how he eats, how he takes care of his fitness, how he is on the court. I mean, to see his improvement going from, I think he was losing record at 5-6 his freshman year and not playing doubles. Then last year was at 6 with a winning record, not in doubles, and now to be winning at 2 and 3 and one of our better doubles players is he took a massive step forward and a few other guys as well, like they just all kind of bought into it, and I think they've been able to overperform. And like I said, a lot of that obviously comes from the stuff Cream and I are talking to them about, but also them being willing to really buy into it, and it's paid off for them. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different guys I could point to in the improvements. Medi, obviously 17-5. That's a remarkable number for someone who's playing in the top 3 of a lineup. Whose growth this year exceeded your expectations the most? I guess that's how I'll phrase it. Is who took a leap? Maybe you saw it from all these guys, but who is
Yeah.
performing out of that? It even surprises you.
Yeah, I mean, Mehdi definitely is in that group, in that conversation. I think
Yeah.
Yassine has been interesting because he had a pretty good freshman season, but I think it was a bit up and down. And then he went home for the summer, and that was just after John left. And he had a great summer in pro events. Where I think he won a couple 15Ks and got up to like 500 ATP, and it's like a 13-6 or 7 UTR or something like that. And there was all these high expectations for him coming in to his sophomore year, and he struggled. A lot of that was to do with injury, but there's also some stuff with maturity as well. And to see where he's at now, especially maturity wise, and the results he's starting to have now, I think that's been the biggest probably jump. Him and Mehdi, I would say this year in particular, and Yassine, from a mental perspective, he's really made a jump and he values it now. I think a lot, and it's been incredible to see that.
No, 14-8 at the top spot again. No easy task, and doing it all season long, particularly tough. You have 7 guys who have played double-digit singles matches for you. Is that? I mean, part of that I know a byproduct of injuries.
Yeah.
How much is it burden versus blessing when you're playing that many different guys in so many different spots, searching for who fits where?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we have had some injuries. Liam, the most notable one being out for some of those matches that we lost there. But it gave us a chance to it was I think it was pretty obvious. It came down to Nico and Emilio to figure out who was gonna fill that remaining spot. We had the other 5 guys who had been kind of staples last year as well. So it was who was going to go and grab that 6th spot, and those guys battled back and forth for it throughout the season. So yeah, it really gave us an opportunity to see who we were going to play, and they've been extremely tight all year. Sometimes we went with Emilio, sometimes Nico, but I think it's really pushed both of them. Because there are moments where one of them was in and the other one was out, and then the other one got a chance. And I think it was pressure for sure. There's pressure knowing that you can lose your spot in an instant, pretty much. But I think I hope that it's helped both of them.
Yeah. No, I think the results speak for themselves. Again, 23-8 now overall in the year. Your team. There's also the obvious piece that I haven't asked you about yet, and it's the energy that your team plays with. And I tweeted out a video during the Big 12s before the final of you guys warming up. Um, I do want to give a shout out to San Diego because they take it to another level. There are a bunch of the Ohio State warm up over the years. I can point you to a bunch of different ones. But that's the model it looks like you want your team to be. And obviously in year 2, to see them so thoroughly buying into it, How does that happen behind the scenes? Like, what do you have to do from a coach's perspective to get the guys to play with that sort of spirit?
Yeah, honestly, like the idea is to have energy and to be aggressive and loud. And then there's, little things I'm throwing in every single day, whether it's on the group chat or in person, or if it's a particular video I want them to watch and analyze and talk about. But I talk about it as being a fight. It's a group of guys going together to have a fight, and we want to make this as much of a fight as possible. And in a physical fight, you don't back down and you bring it to the opponent. And if you don't, you lose. And that's kind of how we treat this. And so the guys get up for that. I think it inspires them to kind of know, like, okay, this is a physical fight kind of mentality, a war mentality. This is how you would expect someone to behave in that situation. So yeah, I think that's the idea. But yeah, every day we just applying things in there. Are you willing to die? Like, emotion, like not literally, hopefully you don't have to, but like we have the Al Pacino Any Given Sunday speech we play before each match, and we listen to that, and one of the things is it's talking about, he says, in any fight it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win the inch, and we say that before each match. And so it's just that reminder of, like, are we really willing to go out there and sacrifice and lay it on the line physically and mentally, and tennis is a big mental ego sport. Like, when we're playing horrible and losing someone we shouldn't, are we able to stay out there and fight and lay it all on the line, and risk being embarrassed? And so we opt for that at all times, and it's worked so far. So
No, it's a credit to you guys. Again, the success immediately speaks for itself. How do you worry about negotiating that line between, just because of that energy you want them to bring, they lose focus at all the other stuff, tennis wise or whatever it may be, that you need to, 3 hours. Tennis is as much about focus as it is about physicality. Is
yeah.
it? How do you go about finding that balance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the warm up is extremely, you hear the song and stuff like that. So there's moments which we focus on it, which, as a spectator you might not see it as much. But there are down moments for us, like that the song at the start is a big energy piece. But the actual hitting piece that we do before, it's not that high energy. The guys aren't as loud as some other teams. The doubles point is extremely supposed to be extremely high energy and loud. And then when we go out for the singles, it's more about being composed a little bit, especially at the start, keeping your composure, and then when the moments are tighter, then elevating that. So that balance between, not just being completely lost out there in the fog of, like, just yelling and being focused on, hey, we're still like a professional, we're still trying to win points and games here. So we have definitely moments that we're probably a bit more focused on bringing that energy.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it's a credit to you guys that I do think you have found that balance so well here this season. You mentioned the doubles of it all. Looking at the numbers, 46 and 32 in individual sets. You certainly, again, had to play around because of some different injuries. How much have you emphasized that with this team? How important, or how confident are you feeling in that piece heading into the Sweet 16?
Um, yeah, last year we were 10 and 16, I think, in doubles points, and we had a 19 and 6 record. So it was like, well, like, guys, I think we got to do a bit better than this. And look, like, we were a pretty young team, and South American, Moroccan clay quarters, right? So, like, it wasn't a whole lot of, like, doubles knowledge or stuff they'd worked on. So we just had to spend some time doing it, and a lot of that was done in the fall. And we just said, like, look, we're not going to keep getting away with losing doubles points and winning matches 4-3. Like, we got to win some doubles points here, and the guys they knew that was probably true, and were willing to work on it. And it's definitely, I feel like we're a decent doubles team now, whereas last year we were not.
No, it's interesting. I guess we'll have to do it on Chris's website, not Wikipedia, but Chris's website, the Wikipedia for college tennis. Are you technically part of that Ty Tucker coaching tree, right? From
Yep.
Ross Wilson
Yeah.
and Kenyeko down to yourself.
Sure.
Um, how are the, like, in teaching those doubles principles, establishing them for your team, especially given, again, a lot of those guys' backgrounds and preferred playing styles? Have you adjusted what you're coaching just to their, like, how do you go about tailoring what you want to see to their talents?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely started out probably a mistake of maybe letting them have a bit too much of an opinion in the doubles, which I
Okay.
think, like, in singles, that they do have some great information, and
Yeah.
they've played a long time. They've been good players, but ultimately, like we came back to them and said, guys, you haven't done any doubles. You've played doubles at the occasional ITF, and you've practiced doubles zero in your practice time. So the only time you spent playing dubs was at some random ITF where usually you don't care that much. So let's be honest, you don't really know anything about doubles. So I think let's just let us handle the doubles here, and we've I definitely some adjustments. It's not like like it's all completely by the book always, but the basics of the stuff you talk about, like Ty Ross, all those guys, we do a lot of the basics. I think we do them well, and we've added our own piece in there, and we looked at things that pro doubles players do, or some different things that we've come up with that we think could help. Especially, there's differences with playing one set of doubles with no ad scoring than there is playing a 2 out of 3 set match. There's some differences in no warm up as well. So I think those things can kind of adjust how you strategize doubles. But yeah, definitely that model of Ty Tucker, Ross Wilson, Brian, that stuff has definitely been a big influence on how we play doubles for sure.
No, it's interesting to hear, and again, a lot of ups and downs, many different swings in your team's season this year as well. One just random note to ask: the Utah trip. Not even about
Mm.
the result against BYU, but just in general, I'm so fascinated by that road trip because
That
I again, this is a free plug for them. I love Provo. I just think it's the best home advantage in college tennis. And I think it's really cool that that exists. Like, it should be. You're going to elevation. You're dealing with their crowd. 90 minutes. They're going to jump on you. And can you
yeah,
make a ball until that 91st minute? What's it like to coach on that road trip? What'd you guys learn from it?
yeah, we didn't make a ball. It was hard. We went there early as well, so we probably got a bit more advantage than most people. I think we were there on Monday uh, playing Friday, Tuesday playing Friday. But anyway, yeah, it's hard. I mean, look, they do a great job with using their advantages. So we were obviously we were down Liam that match, and it was definitely always going to be tough whether we had him in or didn't. And yeah, not having him in Provo with like you said, the crowd and the elevation and stuff like that. It just, yeah, I mean, they did a great job. They got us in the doubles point, and like the Medi against Fuchs was bad. I mean, he played badly. It's a spot we you know plan on winning a lot of the time, and he just wasn't able to deal with that in Provo, and lost that one. And we're down 2 points there, and then they found two more. So yeah, the credit to them. They were too good.
It feels like this team that keeps thinking of as I look at them. It's how thick their skin is. Like this team can take a loss and bounce back from it so quickly with again learning their lessons along the way. And I think about the matchups with Arizona where you guys are obviously 2-1. The matchups with TCU. Uh, Anyone who watched the first one knows that might have been the better match than the second one,
Yeah,
as good as
yeah,
the second one was. To what do you credit that thick skin? Like we've kind of alluded to this throughout, but that to me is the lesson of this
yeah.
2025 season: is this team can take a few punches and get back up.
I mean, they take the punches from me and Kareem every day. That's, I make them, we look the discipline of, doing difficult things daily, not making practice easy, doing lots of ice baths, make them watch videos and give me summaries of it. Like there's a lot of things that I don't want to give away too many of my secrets. But we just we pride ourselves on making things difficult, and explaining to them that if you do difficult things when you need to be able to call on that as a skill, and we believe it's a skill, you have a better chance. And whether that's recovering from a bad loss and coming out in the next one and winning in a tennis match, whether that's something drastic in your life that happens, it's part of the same principle of you got to be able to take a punch and then get back up and keep going. And if you can't, you're not ready for a big tennis match, and you're probably not going to be very ready for life. So we try to intertwine those two things.
No, you do a really good job of doing so. Was there a match this season you were proudest of your guys?
That's tough. Geez, they've done well. They've done really well. I think this last one, to be honest with you, I think this last one, like it being UCF in the state of Florida, and having to beat Florida to make the history of the Sweet 16, which we made a lot of history, right? But we all know, like, where does everyone look? They look at NCAA's, right? And it's like, okay, last year you beat Florida to make this the second round, which was great, first win ever, but it tied the best result for the NCAA's. But this year, like, you got to beat Florida to try and make a Sweet 16, which has never been done. And the way they came out in that, and look, we weren't super healthy, like, as I'm sure Florida weren't or anybody else weren't. Like, we were struggling, like, and they just, I mean, they were incredible. They brought the energy for the doubles. We knew the doubles point would be huge. The crowd, it was probably a 50-50 crowd, maybe 60-40 if we're lucky. So, like, it was chaos. There's a lot of tension there between the two teams for sure. And just the way the guys handled the whole thing, I mean, that was really incredible to see.
Yeah, it's a credit to them again. History made through to a first, excuse me, Sweet 16. If you could go back in time, and this is something I'm asking every coach, reallocate more time in practice this season to one thing for your guys, could be on or off the court. What would you pick and why?
Mm. Injury prevention.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah,
A
that. I mean,
few more
because that,
massage sessions.
yeah, yeah, I don't, yeah, that's. I mean, I think. Look, I think we've overperformed for sure. So I don't think we can look too much at, like, what we've done tennis wise. We obviously lost to South Florida short Liam, and lost to BYU short Liam. So, like, I think that that maybe as good of a season as it is, maybe we could have won those two matches. If not, Baylor, we played without Liam. Maybe we could have won that one, although they beat us 4-0. So maybe not. I don't know. But and so that, if we could have been less injured, that potentially, but also that gave chances to other guys to step up and play. And I think they were able to, like Nico in particular, coming through these, he was winning his match against Miami, and he won against Florida at 6, against a guy with a higher UTR. And maybe some of those things that Nico and Emilio were put through by being able to play, or both of them being able to play because Liam was out. Maybe that helped us in moments maybe we don't quite recognize now. So, who knows?
No, it's been a good year. I think that's a fair answer, no doubt about that. By the way, I meant to ask this. Probably should have asked it after we talked about that round two. The NCAA selection process and the 400-mile rule, and I know they're considering. Obviously, we had NCAA committee chair Chris Young come on, and he advocated for getting tennis into the pilot program. Knowing that you've played Florida a couple years consecutively, like, you're not in their conference, you're not in Florida State's conference. If one of you is hosting and two of you aren't, you know where you're heading.
Mm.
Um, what is your thoughts on that process, and what do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, for us this year, I mean, now looking back, I'm happy the way it went because we got through, and it makes it sweeter, obviously, to get through against Miami and Florida. But yeah, I mean, to work as hard as we did and get the wins we did to be a host, and then get stuck with that region was a bit like, oh, wow. That's tough. So I think, yeah, I understand the why, trying to help with the budget and stuff like that. But definitely, I mean, it would help. I think if we weren't limited to the 400 mile.
Yeah, again, pilot program hopefully there. By the way, I know you're focused on this season, but knowing the rankings in the race to be a host for the kickoff weekend next year, does that are you going to make any adjustments to your schedule just knowing where that ranking starts? Like, does 2026 look differently now based on this season?
No, I don't think so. We have a pretty good schedule. I was hoping we'd be in a pretty good spot. I probably wasn't, as I said, anticipating this good. But yeah, this schedule's pretty gonna stay the same, I would imagine. That when we've had it, it's done anyway. I've had it done for a while now. So as the host, I think just like when we beat TCU in the conference tournament, we had to beat them to host NCAA's. I think we have to beat them here to host kickoff weekend. So
That's
I
good.
believe,
Raise the stakes. An NCAA
yeah,
trophy is not enough. Got to set it up for
yeah.
next year's group as well. And I want to ask you about that match in a second. Um, just in the theme of looking forward, obviously, unfortunately, this week is the week that the transfer portal opens, and
Mm.
just inevitably, it's something
What's
every.
that? What's the
Yeah,
transfer for?
exactly. How do you view the transfer portal in the context of roster construction? What's your approach to it?
We didn't get any transfers last year. So I mean, look, like I'm neither no opinion either way. Like I think there's lots of people who have had maybe a bad experience, whether that's due to them not being mature enough for it, or perhaps a bad coach, who knows, or a bad team, bad environment, bad place for them. I think people can make mistakes and need to be somewhere else that could help them evolve. But yeah, I mean, it's to me like if someone wants to transfer, we'll kind of find out about them and see if it makes sense with our team and how we run things. And if it does, yeah, it's someone we would for sure bring in.
In those conversations and conversations you have with incoming freshmen, how prevalent is the NIL piece now? Like, how quickly does that get brought up?
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of confusion even for coaches and players now. With the settlement case going on and everything. So it's just not a whole lot of clarity. I think we have a good amount of clarity from our end on what we understand that we can do, but yeah, I just think there's a lot of numbers that are very very inflated as well. That is definitely making. Yeah, I'm sure some people are a little surprised when they're talking to coaches and the numbers they're getting when they of what they've heard and what we see on social media sometimes.
I feel like that's the most difficult part. Like that gets to the crux of it is the lack of clarity in the information cycle. Like it just
Yeah,
am I wrong in feeling that way? Like I too agree. It feels like some of these numbers you hear they can't be real, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, it's a fascinating thing. It's something I'm going to focus on more this summer. But all right, my last two questions for you. Going to ask you to put on the pundit hat in this one. Always like to hear your opinions on everything else. As listeners know, many a times I would not have become aware of Ben Shelton's upside without the conversation we had watching him play at the 2021 NCAAs. If you were
Sorry that we
not,
beat the Gators though, Ben.
yeah, if you were not so thoroughly focused on your own matchup with TCU, which again I want to talk about in a second. Of the other matchups we have available, Stanford, South Carolina, Virginia, Arizona, Ohio State, Mississippi State, NC State, Columbia, UCLA, USC, Texas, Tennessee, and Wake Forest A&M. Which interests you most and why?
Well, I like the Virginia Arizona one. Obviously, you want to see Colton against Hodar. That's cool. I think UCLA is really cool, right? Like two programs that have won just so much and obviously come in unseeded and are playing each other in the round of 16 to go to the quarters in LA. I think that's really cool to see. It's kind of historic, right? So
Yeah,
I would say that one.
yeah, a lot of good ones across the board. It is, I will point out, every men's coach I have talked to has to mention Hodar versus Colton. How could you
Yeah,
not? Like,
yeah,
45 by ELO ratings versus defending junior U.S. Open boys singles champion.
yeah.
Decent tennis.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it'll be pretty good.
Good
Be
for
pretty good.
yeah, certainly good for the sport as well as of course is the battle we've got coming up for all of us in Fort Worth. The matchup of course Saturday 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Your team taking on TCU for the third time. Obviously, a third time a team plays anyone in a season, especially second time in a month. No secrets between those two
Mm.
squads.
Yeah.
What do you view as their biggest strength and what's it going to take for your guys to keep advancing?
Yeah, I mean they also play with a lot of energy. They bring it. I think that they're obviously well coached. I mean, look at the players they've produced in the last 10 years or so. So I think the coaches really know what they're doing, and I'm sure they're doing a lot of scouting on us, even if they've already seen us a bunch of times. So I think that it's they're going to make it a war for us. And but like I said, we like that. I think so far we've played. This is the fourth time we've played them in 2 years, and each match has been really really high energy and intensity. And so I think our guys really like playing TCU. And so I'd anticipate a lot of popcorn.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very good. I will tell. Do you need me to tell Chris in advance to pick against you?
I told him already.
Good. That's what I like to hear. No, I mean, again, I happen to be at that matchup between you all at Big 12s, and certainly getting to watch the matchup in the regular season as well. This one's going to be fun. I'm very much looking forward to the battle. Again, UCF Knights taking on TCU Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Head coach Lloyd Bruce-Burgess. Always a pleasure to get the chance to chat
So
with you, my friend. Obviously, good luck to you and the team here this weekend, and appreciate you taking the time today.
thank you.
Recording.